One of my fondest memories of scuba diving has to be my very first dive. I vividly remember the rocking of the dive boat as I was about to take the plunge into the tepid, crystal clear water. I felt the heavy gear on my back growing in weight by the seconds as I crept to the edge of the boat. I did not know what was a greater weight, the scuba tank or the dozens of eyes on my back. I decided it was now or never. I took a deep breath and gracefully leapt into the deep unknown. When I was growing up, my parents always divulged their favorite scuba diving stories, and I grew jealous that I was not old enough to partake in their beloved hobby. I grew impatient as my 12th birthday gradually came closer. This was the age that I was legally eligible to gain my scuba diving license. An interview that I had with him accurately recollects his emotions from this time. Dad, is there anything you remember in particular about the day I scuba dived for the first time?
The thing I can remember that I was very proud that you actually took the opportunity to learn how to scuba dive and that you were enjoying something that I and the family thoroughly enjoy.
When it came time to test my physical skills, I was excited to finally experience what breathing underwater was like. We were vacationing at our condo in Grand Cayman, Cayman Islands. On the day that I would go out on the dive boat, I had butterflies in my stomach ever since I woke up. The weather was a comfortable 75 degrees, and the breeze carried a soft scent of salt water. Even though I couldn't think about food, my dad forced me to eat an unappealing ham sandwich before driving over to Cobalt Coast Dive Resort. All the way to the resort, I was feeling uneasy and started doubting my ability to successfully scuba dive. As we pulled into the parking lot, I heard the crunch of the gravel beneath the tires, and that was my signal that the time has come. Walking up to the dive shop, I met my dive master. His name is Carl. My initial assessment of him was, wow, he's huge. He could definitely save me if this turns sour, right? His Cayman accent proved to be very comforting, as was reassuring my abilities to dive, which gave me the courage to be able to successfully put my gear together. I slowly trudged to the dive boat with it on my back. When the boat departed from the coast, I was amongst other beginners sharing in my anxiety. My dad watched from the coast, growing smaller and smaller as we were out on the open sea. So, was it just nerves, or was it that repulsive ham sandwich that I scarfed down 20 minutes ago? It was, of course, the latter of the two, and I found myself thrown over the side of the boat, puking my brains out. I glanced back over my shoulder, and I realized I was the in-house entertainment for the boat. Carl hesitated before coming over to me and asked if I still wanted to dive. Not wanting to miss my opportunity, I resettled myself and volunteered to be the first student in the water. As I crept to the edge of the boat, the water was slapping the boat with a crushing force, and it made it very difficult to balance. All I remember is the water whooshing around me as I submerged into the water. The warm sea calmed me down as I dove my head under the water and saw the sandy bottom surrounded by the marine life. By the time I peeled my eyes from the ocean floor, the rest of the group dove in the water, and we were ready for our descent. I put my regulator in my mouth and was nervous to breathe for the fear of inhaling water. But as I took my first breath, I was shocked to have actually oxygen enter my mouth. As we dropped to the ocean floor about 40 feet down, I felt weightless, that I was flying, being suspended in water. Then I became very still. Everything was moving in slow motion, and I heard the weirdest thing. Absolute nothingness. Being in a world that was not your own was incredibly strange, and I wanted to explore every inch of it. Before I got too far, I came back to reality and reconnected with Carl and the rest of my group on the sandy flat. It was hard to pay attention to Carl as I was distracted by the scenery around me. We went through basic techniques underwater as a part of my scuba diving certification. Then we approached my favorite part, swimming around, looking at the coral and fish among the reef. I was captivated by how close I was to the reef, as I was unable to experience this before scuba diving. Following along the coral, I came across a blue fluorescent fish that was as curious about me as I was about it. Seeing the fish so close, I could easily reach out and touch it. It was unfathomable being down there. I finally understood the enthusiasm that my parents felt towards scuba